Thanh lives in a small town in the remote mountains. She and her husband are both on ARV treatment. They are able to work again. She became a peer educator and is very much appreciated by her community. And like a miracle, they have very cute and healthy baby girl born without HIV. This miracle was only made possible because of an internationally financed project in partnership with the local government and community. Without this, she would probably not be with us today. And it's not only her. Many other people, women and children, would be infected, could not go to school, could not work, could not have families, and even would not be alive. Should we reduce the supports? No, we cannot. We don't have the right to do that. Madam President, with your permission, I would like to invite Thanh to say a few words.
Well, I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much, everybody, for giving me back my life, my hope, and my future. And please do not forget us. Thank you.
So you've just heard Thanh said, thank you so much for giving back to her, her life, her hope, her future. Thanh also urged us, don't forget her and the people like her. So let us respond to her by recommitting ourselves with all our heart and soul to ending it. Let us join hands to achieve the 90-90-90 targets with 100 commitment and even more. Thank you for your attention.
You are in your economic development.
Well, we see that, as you were mentioning, that the lessons that learned from the crisis, we see that the weaknesses that we have as the hurdles and as the task that we will have to do is to eliminate the bottlenecks that we have in infrastructure, education, healthcare system, and in doing that, the government, instead of putting a lot of investment on the infrastructure, will have to prioritize the government spending on the education and healthcare system. At the same time, with what we call it socialized, I mean, they call in the private investment in also the education and healthcare system. We have to manage the public-private model of investment into the infrastructure in order to reduce the government spending on that and to maintain more stable sort of macro economy. And that's the issues that we have learned from the past, that we by making a lot of investment into the infrastructure, we actually facing the issues of the inflation. So the government in the future would have to diversify that investment more into the private sectors and prioritizing in the poor area and boosting the domestic demand.
And if I could just ask Mr. Hoang to comment on Vietnam's policy on that, and how does that fit into the overall economic picture?
Well, Vietnam is considering the green economy as the must. It's inevitable because when we select the export-led model, the products that are exported to other countries will have to meet all the environmental standards and criteria. Secondly, Vietnam is actually the countries that in a longer term is to be the energy imported countries. So it doesn't have to reduce it, consumptions of the energy and also improve the efficiencies. And I agree with Nguyen Kiet that our efficiency is very, very low, and it's about we have to use at the moment more than 20% of our energy for producing one unit of GDP. So the green economy as the must that we will have to embark on that. The government is set up the strategy, and we have to follow all the international standards for environment. We have to build all the feasibility study for every project to do with the environment evaluations. The EIA will have to be approved before any project to be going any further. And the new and renewable energy will have to achieve the figure of 5 to 8% by the year 2015. So that is the criteria that the government is putting forward and forcing the business and the country to follow.
Okay.
So we are also willing to invest outboundly.
And I'd like to comment on that.
Well, I think that's the good questions, and I think that every country will have their models, and every models or sort of strategy will have side effect of that. But the point is that if the government acting together and getting out of the the trend of the protectionisms, and also to agree on the the measures to control the flow of capital and not to let the case of the banking crises that happen, we can protect the result or whatever the achievement that we have. Otherwise, every country is changing their model, making a lot of investment, and they end up with another story of crisis. Thanks.
In the near future.
Well, actually, in our case, the stimulus package is not as big as that in China. We have only about $6 billion. But we see that the stimulus money was coming first to the small and medium enterprises, which employ 90% of our labor force. So that stimulus package helped them to maintain the employment during the crisis, and because of that, they continue to get back to the market whenever the market was growing. And secondly, we could help them to kind of maintain the social security to the employment.
So this is a key economic policy is developing this sector. As you say, 90% it has to be.
Yeah, 90% of the employment is employed by the SME. So the stimulus market is supplied to them, not to the big, sort of junk.
Mayor Harrison, what's the experience in Japan? And again, is it something that needs to be looked at as far as rebalancing an economic model?
Years for the food recovery.
With all the lessons learned from the crisis, the crisis of '97, make the Asian countries more experienced on dealing with it, and with this crisis, and with the program that the G20 have put forward, and with the willingness that the countries all over the world are willing to act, collectively. So I believe that, the market will not coming down again like the W, sort of share.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Schoolmaster, for the kind introduction. I think that you shoot me to the sky, to the moon now. I'm so glad to be back to the CSIS. I came here also last year with the presidents of Vietnam to he gave a speech at this CSIS. And also, I believe that this institutions is a world-class think tank, renowned not only in the United States, but all over the world. Many ideas from CSIS reports and roundtable discussions are inputs for policy makers. It's also a nice surprise to know that some Vietnamese scholars are working among you here. And this testifies to the vibrant growth of the all-round relations between Vietnam and the United States, which have expanded to all fields, including the research on social sciences. There is now a lot of potentials for the two countries to work together for the benefits of the peoples of the two countries and for peace, prosperity, and development in Asia and the Pacific. That is why, more than 1 year ago, President Trường Tân Sang and President Obama announced the establishment of our comprehensive partnership to provide an overarching framework for bilateral cooperation in all areas to capture those potentials. We are, however, even eager to learn more ideas about how to promote even further the US-Vietnam relations. In that spirit, I welcome the launch of the report titled A New Era in Vietnam-US Relations, Deepening Ties After 2 Decades of Normalizations by Murray Hinberg, Gregory Bowling, and Phương Nguyen. Thanks, Murray, for your efforts and leadership in this project, and also the recommendations in the report. I highly value the quality of the report, as well as some constructive policy recommendation retained in the report. And the report quoted Secretary of State John Kerry as saying that no two countries have worked harder, done more, and done better to try to bring themselves together and change history and change the future than Vietnam and the United States relation. I can't agree more. The dramatic progress of the Vietnam-US relations in the past 19 years is simply unimaginable, even for the strongest supporters of the normalizations of relations, such as the then Senator John Kerry. As we look forward to the 20th anniversary of the normalizations of relations between Vietnam and the United States, both countries can take pride of ourselves on the journey we have made, as well as we surpassed. As well as challenges we surpassed. Within just 20 years, our bilateral trade volume has increased 130 times, reaching $30 billion in 2013. We are negotiating the ambitious 21st century Trans-Pacific Partnership. People-to-people contacts between the two countries have exploded. Exchanges of visits are enhanced. Vietnam now ranks first among ASEAN countries in terms of the number of students studying in the United States, totally over 16,000 Vietnamese students. We are having dialogues in various areas, such as political security, defense, labor, and even human rights. Through these dialogues, we exchange all the issues, including the differences in direct, frank, and constructive manner. Cooperations in other areas have also been promoted to a higher level. Civil nuclear cooperation is one of the examples. We are happy to see the 123 agreement between Vietnam and the United States was approved by the US Congress and taken into effect last month. This will open great opportunities for both countries to work together in this important area. Our relations have been expanded beyond our bilateral framework to many multilateral issues such as sustainable development under the Low Mekong Initiative framework, climate change, search and rescue, humanitarian assistance, and even UN peacekeeping operations. While moving forward, we are still working hard on the war legacy issues, such as Agent Orange, unexploded ordnance, MIA, etc. Ladies and gentlemen, to further deepen the comprehensive partnership, I particularly pay attention to the recommendations of the report. Many of the recommendations are quite constructive, and I believe that's sometime long overdue. Looking towards the 20th anniversary of our diplomatic relations, both countries should redouble our efforts, but also to work to deepen our bilateral relations and work within the ASEAN framework and with other partners to maintain peace, stability, and prosperity in our region and beyond. Our two countries should also work harder together and with other member countries to conclude the TPP. As ASEAN builds the community by 2015, Vietnam will spare no efforts to deepen partnership between ASEAN and the United States. Peace, prosperity, and security in the Asia-Pacific requires a strong Vietnam, a united ASEAN, and vibrant engagement of all major stakeholders in the world, especially the United States. We cannot change history, but we can change the future by working together. With your strategic vision and the special importance you attach to Vietnam-US relations, all of you here at the CSIS can help shape the future of our comprehensive partnership between our two countries. And with that, you will help shape the future of the Asia and Pacific. It's my wish that the CSIS will do more, work harder with Vietnamese counterparts to make even greater contributions to deepening the ties between Vietnam and the United States for the sake of the mutual interest of both peoples as well as that of peace, stability, and prosperity in the Asia and Pacific. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Minister.
In a special edition of East Line, where we commemorate the 70th National Day, September 2nd, we are honored and delighted to welcome to our studio Professor Dr. Nguyen N, Politburo member and president of the Central Committee of the Vietnam Fatherland Front. As someone who has assumed many high-ranking positions in the government and state and is an experienced economist himself, Professor Nguyen N will share with us his insights into the achievements of Vietnam's economy thus far. Thank you very much for taking some time out of your busy schedule to be with us in our show today.
My pleasure.
First of all, as this year Vietnam is commemorating the 70th anniversary of the National Day on September 2nd, over the past 7 decades, the country has witnessed tremendous growth, especially since the country entered the renovation period, or the đổi mới. As an economist in this field, what do you think have been the milestones in the GDP growth of Vietnam so far?
After the end of the war, we wish we can rebuild our country, we can achieve high growth. But after the first 10 years, the economy went down into crisis. And we have to draw the lesson that planned economy didn't work. Therefore, in 1986, we abolished this planned economy and introduced market economy with a socialist orientation. And from that time, when the economy at the bottom, the volume of GDP was only $6.3 billion US. And last year we achieved 186 billion. So after 25 years, the volume of Vietnam economy grew 30 times. So I think it's a very remarkable achievement of our country.
Mm-hmm. Vietnam's income per capita has also grown substantially over that period, and now Vietnam is a middle-income country. Compared to the period before đổi mới or the renovation period, what do you think have been the most remarkable changes to the life of ordinary Vietnamese people?
I remember during that time when I went back from army to university to teach, 83, most people are happy if they have a bicycle to go to the work. But today, most are driving motorbike and when they have private cars. Also, TV was a big dream at that time. But today, every household has 1 or 2 TV in Vietnam. Also, telephone in family is a luxury at that time. But today, we have by 91 million people in the country, 150 million telephone and mobile phone in Vietnam. So we can say that with this achievement from economic and social aspect, the poverty ratio went down from 62% in 1990 to 8% last year. So today is a reduction of poverty still necessary for some part of the people in the rural or mountain area. But nationwide, with GDP per capita of more than 2,000, we are moving in middle income country already.